Hey everybody, welcome back to Doug's Speed Shop. So we've been doing some work on the Camaro lately. We did a heated core. We fixed that the power window. We got the duct down here being a nuisance. But the other thing that's bothering me is the stance right now. So if you look right here, you can definitely see a gap difference there from the front to the rear. So it's almost like squatting in the back. But to add to it, this side's even worse. So we're gonna turn to the front end of this and see if there's a reason why it's sitting like that. So hopefully it's nothing too like structural or anything, but there's definitely a lean to it and I wanna fix it. So I might even lower the front end, I don't know yet. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I think I'm gonna do is get a measurement of ride height to the fender on each corner, just so we have numbers to go with what we're gonna be adjusting. And another thing about it is it feels real floaty when driving, because I think because the front end's up, it's just making it float. Like feels real loose when driving. So see if we can fix all that. All right, so we're gonna go through and get measurements for these for the ride height at each corner. And if Dick would just be quiet, so I can concentrate here. So that is, so the left front is 28. 7/16. Left rear is 28 and an 1/8. That's already 3/8 difference higher in the front. We don't want it higher in the front. 27 7/8. This is 27 7/16. Oh, did I get that right? So the rear is like 5/8 of an inch difference from this side. So we're reading pretty good. Check that again. Seems off. Nope, it's over 28. That's crazy. Alright, so now we got measurements to go by. So we should be able to figure out what we need to do. So we're going to check all the suspension and figure out what's wrong. Alright, so what do these numbers tell us? Okay, so there's a couple possibilities here. So the first one being, this corner right here is up too high. All right, so that spring is, the rate's wrong or something, or is assembled wrong from the factory, or it could be there's a problem in the back here where this side is sunk down to the point where it's raising that front end up. So I think we're gonna start with the easy to see part. That's gonna be the rear end. So we're gonna check back here. We'll jack it up and get it up on the ramps so we can get up underneath there and see with the weight on the car. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so up underneath here, you got a few factors here. You got your shocks, you got your sway bar end links. The end links, the bushings for the sway bar, and yeah, it is a very small sway bar. Those are all new. I replaced those when I did all the suspension. Shocks are all new. I actually went with, oh wow, I went with AC Delco. I forgot I went with AC Delco. So the only thing I can think of is a bind in the control arms, which is a possibility, and it's causing it to twist and be out of whack. Or the other thing I noticed, I don't know if I'm going to show you this or not, but if you look at the springs and the gaps between the springs, like I said, it's going to be kind of hard to show you, but they look closer together on this one than they do on this one. Like I said, it's kind of hard to show you up underneath here. So I don't know if that's a gap. I have to measure it to be sure. So I don't know if this spring over here is maybe compressing, or the mount is out of whack up top, which is a possibility too, because I did have the springs out when it looks like it's compressed up there. But I had everything out when I did the rear end. I changed the bearings and everything on the rear end. So there's a possibility that something's out of whack back there too. So maybe I have it somehow higher on this side, but the spring compressed the way it is, it's kind of hard to say. I don't know. And we'll figure it out together though. All right, so one of the things I did notice while I was under here, if you look at the torque arm bushing up in here, it's pretty worn out. And I've been noticing it bouncing, the shifter bouncing quite a bit, which means it's probably we got a bad transmission mount as well. So that's definitely something we could put on our to-do list. And but still, yeah, my ugly exhaust. But yeah, we gotta check, see if these control arms are binding at all. And I mean, yeah, we got that twisted up torque arm mount, but I wouldn't worry about that causing the lean condition. But I check these lower control arms, make sure that they're torqued proper. I'm pretty sure I torqued them down when they had to wait on the car, but you never know. I might have not, and we'll check that too, just to be sure. All right, so we didn't find anything in the back. Everything was the way it was supposed to be. I actually loosened the control arms and put it back down the ground and retightened everything, just so I knew they weren't, nothing was caught up there, and it didn't change the problem. However, what I did is I jacked up the front of the car, and I put the jack stands in exactly the same spot on each end. And now when I measure from the floor up to the inner fender, the top to the bottom of the fender, they are both reading at 38.5 inches. So that tells me that the problem is most likely this spring and shock assembly, spring and strut assembly. So that's what we're going to look at next. Is we're going to pull the wheel off there and see if something's twisted wrong or something. All right, so the only thing I see here, and it could be a possibility, but I mean, what was it, 5/8 of an inch? Almost an inch difference. Between 5/8 and what was it? I have to look. Hold on a second. 28 7/16 and 27 7/8. So yeah, about 5/8 of an inch difference. So that little gap in the bottom could actually cause something like that, because as it twists down, so if we get this part right here to, this is like a cushion, it's plastic, but if we could get that twisted over here, it might drop it down a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to drop it enough to be that far down. If you look up here, you can see that the top is in where it's supposed to be, so you can't move that part. So that's the only thing I see that's possibly wrong. I don't see anything else. I don't see anything gapped or anything coming apart. No spacing down here. Maybe take some measurements of the shock length right there. I don't know. That's part of the shock, so I'm not sure what brand these are. I might have gone with AC Delco on those too. I don't remember. So it's something to look at. Let's pull the other wheel off and see what that one looks like. All right, so if you look over here, you can see the gap is definitely a little less on this side. Does that make a 5/8 ride height difference? I don't know. And this one is, I don't know if I'll be able to see this one for you all, but I'm gonna find, that side's right up against it too. I don't know if you'll be able to see that one or not. So the top is definitely good. And the bottom definitely goes around a little bit further. Let's go take a look at the other side real quick. So get an idea of the gap there. Is that about 1/4 inch at the most? And this side, that's quite a difference. What's the worst that could happen? We pull it off and twist it around and get it set up right in there, and maybe it makes a difference, maybe it don't. If not, then we'll find some other way of making it change. But that is a huge difference. That's now 1/4 inch. So looks like we're pulling a shock tower off, or a spring assembly coilover. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this strut out. Let me pop the hood real quick. So as far as getting these out, there's just these 4 bolts up here, and these used to have a Torx style button head on them. You can see they're just normal bolt now. And I think it had something to do with the clearance for the master cylinder, but As you can see, there's plenty of clearance there. And so we're gonna remove those. And then there's 2 bolts down below here. We may have to take the sway bar off right here, which ain't a big deal. But I'm gonna remove the bottom first, just because I think I remember it being hard to get in. Like I needed to twist it kind of hard, more than I should have had to get it to go in. So it may need alignment up there too, but we'll figure all that out when the time comes. I'm probably gonna drop the upper ball joint too to get this out of the way. That makes it a little bit easier as well. I guess it's been a while since I've done these, but it was probably almost 2 years ago that I put these on. But that gap is just not normal. So let's get into it and tear it apart. All right, let's get the spring off the strut. Just kidding. I have done that in the past, but only for when I'm changing it out. I need to keep this together. So I got the spring compressor out. We'll just get that put on there and we will get it compressed so we can remove it and adjust it. All right, so we're gonna get these the spring compressor onto the spring, and I'll go over it here in a minute. Exactly what we gotta do. All right, so one of the things when using this, just this design of it, these little things go over the spring like this. The only problem is, as you can see, they don't quite fit. So you just gotta give them a quick little tap and they'll go in. Same thing with down here. You just use a pry bar to get it out, but it works pretty good this way. And I meant to do that the opposite direction. I wanted that to go that way, but that's fine too. So that's one. And the other thing you want to do is anytime you have coarse threads like this, or any kind of thread when you're putting that much pressure on it, put a little grease on there, because it'll help to not wear it out. Get an impact. That's the first one. You do want to put both of them on there, so you don't want to try it with just one because it won't work. Just gotta get it past this lip on the top mount and go the right direction. Yeah, definitely need an extension. All right, at this point, just spin it down and compress the spring on opposite sides. Just kind of go back and forth on it. And it's gonna make some loud noise, but let's get it compressed. The battery's dying on my cordless, so get out the big gun. All right, so as you can see now, we can spin the spring on the shock because it's loose enough to be adjusted. And what we're trying to do, which it's already been done, kinda, see that gap right there? We want to close that gap on that lower mount as much as we can. And so yeah, once that's closed up, and that's about as far as it can go. I'll try to show you all on camera, but it's, there we go. So that's as far as it goes. You see the bottom here is touching the spring now. So now we can loosen it back up as soon as we make sure that the top is lined up the way it's supposed to. You see the angle of that and the angle of this. These go to the front, so we're actually upside down or backwards right now. Just want to make sure it's in the right position to go back into the car. And these two studs, they go to the front. You just want to kind of eyeball it in there and see if that'll fit. Because the bad thing is with these spring compressors, you can't do it in the car. It's a pain in the butt. There are ones that you can, but I don't have one. These ones always work for me. So just gotta eyeball it, kind of see where it goes. Make sure all the mounts are the way they're supposed to be. And then we can release it now. So I try to keep it from moving. All right. So now let's check it, make sure that that didn't move on us. That's still a little, popped off a little bit, but it's closer than it was. But I don't like that, so I think we're gonna try it. All right, so we got the thing all back together and recompressed, and the gap is much smaller now. So let's get her back in there and see if it made a difference in the height. If not, then we might cut a coil just to even lower it, just because it's up too high anyways. But we'll see. All right, the way I always do these, I always try to put it in the top first. You have to get it into position. Just down below here, and then up into position. It goes in pretty easy for the most part. Yeah, this is supposed to go in first. All right, let's get this thing put back in here. Don't forget to put your upper control arm on though. All right, so we got the strut assembly put back in. Let's get the tire back on and drop her down and see if it made a difference. All right, got the car back on the ground. See if we made a difference. So it's 28 and a half now. Yep. And it's like just a little bit more than 28. So we went from 5/8 to... All right, so we got 28 and a half and 28 and an eighth over here. So we went from 5/8 to 3/8 difference. It does look a little more level, but I don't know. Just one of those things, I guess. Next step would be cutting springs. So we'll see if we decide to go that route. If we do that route, we might as well lower the whole car. And do I want to buy lowering springs, or do I want to just cut a coil? We'll see. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. All right, that'll do it for trying to fix the ride height on the Camaro. So we did discover that one strut was off a little bit. So we went ahead and rotated it and kind of fixed that. Still off, but I think, I don't know, kind of is what it is on this thing. So let me know down in the comments, should I get lowering springs? Should I just cut a coil, since I don't really put a whole lot of money into this car. It's just a, you know, go around town kind of car, 'cause it's a V6, and, you know, it's not too bad, but it's not really a car I like that much compared, you know, I got the Firebird to drive. So, so leave a like down there if you liked it, leave me a comment, let me know what I should do, and subscribe while you're at it. So until next time, I will see y'all later.